Greetings. I'm Muhammad Abdul Furqan, and I have been blessed with the privilege to talk with, to dialogue with, Brother Simba, who is a revolutionary freedom fighter. Brother Simba, how are you?
Magnificent and honored. I'm honored too, because your spirit and your divinity, I feel it. And anytime I can sit down in any chair with a man, because when you got a man, you got spirits you can feel, okay? And anytime I can sit down and address my situation or my information with such a beautiful gentleman, or brother, because there's nothing gentle about us. We're not gentlemen. That language always messes me up, okay? But anyway, a brother like you that have been really struggling with trying to just get satisfaction in the things you do and what you're doing, and getting compensated, because if you are an American, you're supposed to get compensated for what you do. You give and you're supposed to get something back. If you're a human being, everything's supposed to be karma. And of course, we're in a place now where the spirit karma always deviate. Like, you know, you got a bad spirit, so the karma come bad. Okay, the spirits around you. But once a brother is spiritually endowed from his heart, then he stands out, and you stand out. Okay, you may not know it, you may not see you, okay, but other saints and other people with a high mentality see each other, and I can see you, and I think you're a very divine brother. I know a little about your family. That's a very beautiful family, and in the kingdom of Muhammad or Allah or God, water meets its own level. So you got what you're supposed to have. All you have to do now is keep being Farrakhan and keep teaching, because everything you know it because the Father wants you to teach it. Now, I'm not going to talk about me no more, you no more. We're here to talk about the revolution and the situations that's going on today.
Well, you, Brother Simba, who has been on this planet in your physical realm for 70 years, since 1933, and it is now 2003. Going into 2004, I'm sure your spirit has much, much more. And we like to thank God, the Supreme Being, the creator of the heavens and the earth and all in between, for blessing us with a person like yourself to share your wealth of mind, soul, spirit, and that body, because there's something that you always do, and many people have known you to do that for many years, and that is to capture their image in some of the best times and some of the bad times, and as a photographer. But we're not here today to talk about your photography, Brother Simba, although you're a really great photographer. We want to talk about the soul of the image producer. And that soul of the image producer is referred to as Brother Simba, a revolutionary freedom fighter. Talk to me or us about revolution.
Revolution, the word represents change. But most of the time when the revolutionaries try to become revolutionaries, they use only one part of that revolution, and they say physical, okay? But revolution means change physically, mentally, and spiritually. And I mean, my father had 4 seasons, so I know I have to change because I'm a part of nature. And my only thing, I read an article one time that say once mankind puts you down, you have to go with the Father. Okay, and my father happens to be, my ideology father is Marcus Garvey, and my spiritual father is Jesus Christ. Okay, and I know from my experience that my relying on the mankind that I'm in has damaged me, has made me hate myself, has made me turn on myself, because when I say that, I'm a nationalist. And when I say us, when I say myself, I speak in terms of my people. Okay? Because my people and me are one if we are cast in the world. Okay? If I'm in Africa, then I might deal with my individual self because I'm home. But if I'm in the world where I was dragged in my own feces in the bottom of a boat, and they've captivated me and made me almost like them, I'm out of my spirit, I'm out of my God, I'm out of my life until I get into the revolution about changing back into where I'm supposed to be, where I can get a tongue instead of my enemy tongue, where I can be focused on the love of myself and my people, okay? When I go there, then I have recovered. And black people must recover. They say don't use the word nigger, okay? I don't hear nobody say don't use the word Negro. And niggers and Negroes are what you would call the outcome of the Northwest Passage, of the brutality that they laced on us. We attack each other because we're afraid to attack the attacker. The attacker have taught us to be like him. We're educated, but we're sitting in the same seats of the educator who oppresses us.
And that seat, is it a seat that doesn't move, or is it a seat that rotates in some type of revolution? When you talk about revolution, you talk about change. When you talk about a seat, you're talking about sitting. If the seat is sturdy enough, it holds the body.
Yes.
But the seat doesn't revolve.
Mm-hmm.
The seat is set in whatever direction the seater puts the chair.
Peace.
So when you talk about revolution, you're talking about a seat that revolves in the direction that you choose.
In the direction of truth.
And the direction of truth.
Yes.
Talk to me, Brother Simba, about freedom.
Freedom, if you never had it, you don't know it. And African Americans, they talk about it and they equate it in the stance of white European ideology, freedom. Okay? Europeans are conquerors, are rapists, are murderers by nature. And it's nothing personal, and I'm not angry with them. I'm angry with them only because they've taken me out of my nature. And I can't defend myself until I get back in my nature. And that's what revolution is about. Changing and getting back into your heart, getting back into your mind, and letting yourself work for you. As long as you are not identifying your heart with you and your mind with you, you're working whoever got it. You're working for them. It's psychological slavery. We're all not all of us, because that's be ignorant on my part to say all about anything. But we're all, the majority of us, are still psychological slaves because we have no institutions. And the struggle was about institutions, alternative institutions for black people, because they were being demeaned by the institutions that they're in. That's freedom. When you have institutions, when you are part of, when you're a producer, okay, not when you're a consumer and you're going to somebody else's institution and your life depends on it. You're a sophisticated slave because you don't depend on yourself. You depend on the slave master, and you could call him the director, you could call him the teacher, you could call him the president of the United States, but all of them are children of the aristocrats who were slave masters. And when a white boy asked me, Simba, it wasn't me, what can I do to help? I say, I'm trying to make up for my father's mistakes. You make up for your father's mistakes. And if you make up for your father's mistakes, you'll be helping me, because your father's children are still making the same mistakes.
So in that freedom, we find education.
You find all those things.
But it's not an education or a knowledge that is given to us by those who attempted to keep us ignorant, but it's an education of self, through self, for self, where the student is at the center of its own learning.
Peace and love.
Freedom, I had once heard it said, is the ability to take charge of oneself. The opposite of that is having others do for you what you fail to do for yourself. And when you look at the word, free dome. Your dome is your mind, your head, that covers, that's the thing on top. And if that's not free, then the other word that sounds pretty much like dome is almost dumb. So my brother Simba,
beautiful.
Freedom, we talked about revolution, we talked about freedom, fighter. Brother Simba, the revolutionary freedom fighter. What does it mean to fight?
Fighting means resisting. It doesn't mean physical in a spiritual black perspective. And everything, our power is in the physical plane. We don't have any, the spiritual plane. Okay, our power is in the spiritual plane. We have no power in the physical plane in the world. Our power is mental and spiritual. And of course, if the people that you're coming at have your mind, your mental, then unless you're fighting 24/7, you become your own victim. You just automatically, we're just human. There's so much capacity that a human being can deal with. Beepers, telephones, trying to keep up with the system, try to pay the rent, try to buy the food, take care of the babies. We're marvelous people. We're miracles. Nobody can do that. No human being can do what black Americans do and live and smile and have parties and have celebrations of the deities, of the ancestors that have given their lives for us without us being willing to give up our life. Because you have to be willing to give something up if you're going to give freedom. You have to be willing to give something else. And African Americans, they're too busy consuming. They don't want to give nothing. They don't want to give a ride. They don't want to give nothing. In the kingdom of my God, everything is 360 degrees. And when you put out, you get back. If you put out bad things, you get bad things. If you put out good things, you get good things. But you have to be giving in order to receive. And if you keep everything that you got, and you ain't willing to give nothing up, like the Europeans, greedy, because we've been taught to be greedy. We've been taught to take. We ain't talked about 360 degrees. We're not taught about that. We're not talking about giving so that we can receive. I believe in my heart the only reason why I pay my rent, because I'm giving. Because I don't work for nobody but my people. And my people don't love their self, so they ain't giving me nothing.
So to fight is to resist.
Resist.
And what is that we are resisting is the oppression, which is the opposite of our freedom. And in order to do that, we must be educated. We must uplift and revolve
one another.
and change our mindset so that we become one set, a people of a shared vision, no longer distracted by this, that, or the other, but by being focused on the goals and objectives that come out of the reason why we fight and the reason why we secure.
The reason why we're here.
And the reason why we're here.
And the reason why we're here. We ain't just here to work for Europeans. We're not just here to work for any lesser culture than us. Because when we look at the whole thing, we are a total part of nature. 9 holes in the body, 9 planets in the universe. And that's why the Father wants the black man. I don't care what nobody say. You can have a problem with it if you want to. The original man to rule over dominion. But as long as our heads have been locked up and trained by Europeans, we'll never rule over dominion. We'll be like Europeans. We'll exploit and ravage and rape dominion. And that's why they have the storms now. That's why California was on fire. That's why the lights went out in the summertime, because of the heat. All nature. Nature is God. Period. You can call him Allah. You can say Jah. You can call whatever name you want to call. But our whole thing is based around the nature in us.
Brother Simba, we talked about revolution, we talked about freedom, and we talked about fighting. Where, in closing, do we go from here?
We go from here to the heart. Nothing is going to free us unless we go to our hearts, because that's the only thing that was not integrated and was not educated and was not touched. Because if they touch that, the slave is going to die, and they need the slave to live to work for them.
My brother Simba, continue the fight. Continue the journey. We wish you many, many more years,
Thank you.
long beyond the 70 that you have been blessed with, so that you can continue to bring about the revolution for freedom, justice, and equality. And we appreciate your soldiering in the fight for what's right.
There's one word I'd like to say at the end of the program. Uhuru. Uhuru means freedom. And I mean, when Martin Luther King came from Africa for the first time in his life, people just romanticized on what he brought back. That last speech he had, okay, he said, I have no fear. I've been to the mountaintop, and I no longer have no fear. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. And that's heavy. Okay, brothers and sisters romanticize and exploit Martin Luther King just like they do Jesus Christ, because they've been educated by the enemy. But when you love your people and you love yourself, you feel the pain of your people. And you feel, when you think of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, your eyes get heavy, because you feel it, because you're in harmony with yourself, God, and your people. And that's when you're revolutionary. Period. Peace and love.
Peace and love.